Good afternoon, everyone. As we are continuing with the gait biomechanics, we already completed about the what are the gait biomechanics and what are the alteration of the gait occurred during the because of the biomechanics, and we also gone through about the factors that are affecting during the gait, like age है या फिर gender, and the what are the assistive devices that are using for the walking. So we already completed that. Today we will talk about the abnormal gait. So in abnormal gait there are some major causes that is because of that the gait is mainly affected during these causes. So in that, first is structural impairment. Structural impairment means whatever the muscles या फिर joint or any other structural that are situated in our body, and because of that any abnormality will be created into this structure, and because of that any alteration will be happen into the gait. So because of this alteration, which is known as the which is considered as an abnormal gait, so it is known as the structural impairment. Agar any structural involvement for the abnormality of the gait, which is known as the structural impairment. Second is functional impairment. Functional impairment means any impairment regarding to the you can say that it is because of the any assistive devices or any other problems which are because of that abnormality of the gait will create it, and which is known as the functional impairment. Third is pain. Pain means due to the pain or due to the severe pain, the patient or the person will not be able to walk. So which is known as the abnormality in gait due to the pain. Fourth is compensation or adaptation. Compensation means if the one muscle, for example agonist and antagonist, we will talk about the muscle. So if the agonist muscle will be weak, so antagonist muscle which will compensate the work of the agonist muscle. So because of this compensation, any abnormality will be created into the gait, which is considered as a compensation into the abnormality of the gait. Fourth is last one is adaptation. So in adaptation, any adaptation or any because of this any you can say that abnormality of the gait due to the adaptation, any muscle adaptation or any because of the any deformity. So if the joint or any muscle which will not able to work properly, so which is considered as an adaptation of the abnormal gait. So next is, first we will talk about the structural impairment. In structural impairment, first the most common abnormality into the structural impairment, which is the leg length discrepancy. So leg length discrepancy means you already know what is leg length discrepancy. So if the leg length discrepancy differences is about 2 cm or more than 2 cm, which can be resulted into the asymmetrical gait, means that a person with discrepancy will not able to walk properly, and it had potential for causing the changes into the articular cartilage, obviously, because asymmetrical gait because of the asymmetrical gait, the person who will not able to work properly, and because of this the articular changes will be occur into the person's body. So this structural impairment which will be occur as in leg length this structural changes will be occur into the person's body, and because of that patient will not able to work properly. So this one will be included into the structural impairment. Next is compensatory strategy observed where equinus position of the ankle and foot of the short limb. So what are the compensatory mechanism will be shown into the will be able, we can see into the patient's body. So the compensator strategy, like into the short limb, which limb is the short. So in this short limb, the position of the ankle and the foot, which will be the position of the ankle and the foot will be altered. And because of this compensatory strategy, because of this alteration, the compensatory strategy will be developed into the ankle as well as into the foot. So we can say that it can be so we can say that the structural impairment will be occur into the joint. Next, into the long limb, what are the differences we can see into the long limb? So the long limb means the normal limb, which will be in that to compensate the opposite, to compensate the movement, or to compensate with the opposite limb. The flexion of the long limb as well as the circumduction of the long limb will be increased. Second, children who used to walk, who have difficulty to walk on their toe. So if they are doing toe walking, which have the greater vertical translation of the body center of mass because during the gait than the normal controls. So in compared to the normal individuals, the children who have the toe walking, or who are doing the toe walking, in that children, they have a great vertical translation of the center of mass, and because of that they have more chances of the falling. Next, next is there may be also chances of the development of the patellofemoral pain syndrome, because due to the alteration of the lower limb, the Q angle, which we can measure into the knee joint. So the Q angle will be increased. Second, tibial torsion as well as the the pronation of the foot, which may be cause the patellofemoral pain syndrome. Second, at the foot, the pes cavus as well as the pes planus will cause the alteration into the weight, as well as it may also cause the abnormal stresses at hip or knee joint. So what are the difficulty because of the pes cavus and the pes planus difficulty into the foot joint, into the foot area? Because of that the weight distribution will be not properly occur into the joint and into the ankle or into the foot. So because of that, it may cause the abnormal stresses at the hip and knee joint. Next is because of the pes cavus, weight is borne primarily on the hind foot and the metatarsal region. So mainly into the pes cavus, the whole over the body weight will be distributed into the hind foot as well as the metatarsal region, and midfoot will provide the only minimal support. So during the into the running, the metatarsal bear a disappropriate share of weight. So into the running, the metatarsal, which will bear the disappropriate means the metatarsal which will carry the more weight, and because of during the running. So this all are the difficulty which can be faced by that person or that patient, and because of that asymmetrical gait will be happen, and the patient or the person will not able to walk properly. Next we'll talk about the pes planus. So in pes planus, the weight is primarily distributed at the midfoot rather than the distributed among the hindfoot, lateral midfoot, metatarsal toes, as it is in normal walking foot. So mainly the weight, the pes planus into the pes planus the weight is mainly distributed, or the weight is mainly occur into distributed at the hind foot, into the midfoot, and it will not distributed into the lateral foot या फिर hind foot या फिर metatarsal or toes. It is mainly distributed at the midfoot. Second, disturbance in normal gait pattern, because it will cause the increase in the energy cost of the walking, because normal pattern of the transformation from potential to kinetic energy and redistribution between segments are distributed. So agar any difficulty or any abnormality or any disturbance will be occurring to the normal gait, so it will change the whole mechanics of the body. it will also increase the energy which will cost of the because of the walking, and because of the normal pattern the energy will be distributed distributed equally into the every joint. But because of this the transformation of the energy which will be redistributed in between the segments, and it will be disturbed. So all the mechanics of the body which will be disturbed into the because of the abnormal gait. So this is about the abnormal gait. Second is structural impairment into the abnormal gait. Next we'll talk about the functional impairment, that we will see into the next video. Thank you.